debt ceiling is. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to review what recently happened in Congress. And the reason why the debt ceiling is always such an issue is because people always want to attach stuff to it, and other people don't want to attach anything to it. So what happened here recently is that, let me go back to first, what is the debt ceiling? In case people don't know what this is. This is the Treasury's ability to issue bonds so the federal government can spend more money. That's basically what the first thing says. In layman's terms, it's referred to as the federal government's credit card. So when the credit limit gets close, they basically have to extend the credit limit. And this has been going on since 1917. Some person way back then thought, hey, instead of just issuing debt willy-nilly, why don't we have a ceiling that we can basically stop people from issuing debt? Therefore, it would cause people to spend less money. Didn't really go that way. We're at, I think, $31 trillion right now, and it just keeps climbing. And I think only during the administration in the 90s did it actually go down. So we don't run many surpluses to pay down the debt. And if we do have surpluses, somehow people figure out other things to spend it on instead of paying down the debt. So that's what's going on. And so basically, this is an argument, a debate, whatever you call it, that's going to happen periodically. And so we just got through one of them. And so what has to happen is that Congress has to have, since 1917, Congress has to literally raise the debt ceiling. So if it's $1 today and we hit $1, they have to raise it to $2. And if most of the time what happens is that you don't want to get to the debt ceiling. And so if you've got $1 that is the debt ceiling, you basically want to fix everything before you get to that dollar. And that takes a lot of energy and debate and argument because a lot of members want to do other things with the debt ceiling besides increase the debt ceiling. And so what we have is called extraordinary measures. And what these are is this is the federal government spending that goes from one federal government spending to another federal government spending. So it might be that there's a pension fund that is the federal government. It won't invest in the pension fund until the debt ceiling's raised. Now, it will pay out the pension. It just won't invest in it. And so basically, extraordinary measures, in a long way, in a short way of saying it, it is the federal government taking money from the right pocket and putting it into the left pocket. And so what they basically do is stop all the left and right pocket spending to keep spending down, and then they can extend the conversation on when to increase the debt limit. And then once the debt limit is set, there's a huge amount of bond buying because they have to refill all the extraordinary measures that they didn't pay. And so then suddenly all the left pockets are paid by all the right pockets, and then all the money comes in and everybody's even again. And then we just move forward until the next debt limit crisis. And so what happened was finally in the final deal that actually finally passed Congress, it didn't raise the debt ceiling. What it did is it suspended the debt ceiling, which is basically a gutless way of raising the debt ceiling. What suspended the debt ceiling means is that the debt ceiling no longer exists. So for argument's sake, the debt ceiling was at $31 trillion. It's now gone. That ceiling's gone. What that basically means is that no lawmaker actually voted to increase the debt. So what happens is that the debt ceiling gets suspended, it moves away, lawmakers buy it, or Treasury buys a bunch of bonds, and then at a certain time later on, they just basically agree to a new debt ceiling level. So they didn't actually increase the debt ceiling, they just basically allowed more debt to be acquired and then just set the ceiling where the new limit was. And that basically means that no lawmaker actually voted to add debt to the federal government. This happens a lot. It's kind of crazy, but they basically can say this to themselves: I did not vote to increase the debt ceiling. And so that's what they do. The bill does not increase or cut taxes, but it does restrict IRS funding. And basically what the agreement is that it cuts $1.4 billion off of the $80 billion that the IRS was supposed to get from the Inflation Reduction Act. It then has an agreement that it'll cut another 10. The IRS funding will be cut another $10 billion in 2024, and a separate another $10 billion in 2025. The issue about this is that $20 billion total $20 billion agreement is a handshake. It wasn't in the bill, and so the current Congress cannot tell what a future Congress can do unless it's in law. And so this agreement that they had that in 2025 we're going to cut $10 billion from the IRS, that holds no water because that's a whole different Congress. Right now, I believe we're in the 118th Congress. We'll be in the 119th Congress in 2025, and the 118th Congress cannot tell the 119th Congress what to do. So you basically have to keep faith that the lawmakers will say, oh, there's a handshake agreement. Well, we should do that now. Chances are it's not going to happen. And so the only real thing that they cut right now was $1.4 billion from IRS funding from the debt ceiling bill.